Hello and welcome to PTV World. I'm ShaziaAnwerCheema. You're watching the special live transmission regarding a significant bilateral visit of the Chinese Premier Li Qiang. He is on a 4-day official visit on the invitation of Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif here in Pakistan. Today is the first day of his visit and already high-level engagements happening. As soon as he arrived and disembarked from his airplane, he waved hands towards Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, who was there at the Noor Khan Air Base to personally welcome and receive the foreign dignitary. Afterwards, we saw a spectacular 21-gun salute was presented to the Chinese Premier. Later on, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif warmly received and welcomed Prime Minister Li Qiang at the Prime Minister's house. Also, a guard of honor was presented to the foreign dignitary. We also later on saw Chief of Army Staff General Syed Asim Munir and Premier Li Qiang had an important meeting. And at that particular moment, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif was also present alongside. We also know that delegation level talks have also been held between the two sides, and it's been agreed between the two sides to enhance cooperation in multiple sectors, including education, security, agriculture, human resources development, and science and technology. We also saw the signing of the important memoranda of understanding between the two sides. Also, the two sides have exchanged documents of 13 accords at a ceremony that was also held at Prime Minister House, witnessed by both the premiers. We also know for a fact this particularly important bilateral visit is happening just ahead of the 23rd meeting of the Council of the Heads of the Government of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization that is going to be held tomorrow on the 15th and the day after tomorrow on 16th here in the federal capital in Islamabad. Highly anticipated upcoming SCO mood and this particular ongoing visit of the Chinese Premier, this particular ironclad friendship, the brotherly relationship between Pakistan and China, various aspects of it and how this particular relationship has evolved, particularly vis-a-vis that visionary project, the flagship of project, the Belt and Road Initiative, and the flagship project of which is China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. Multiple successes have already been achieved under the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor Phase 1. And as we speak, this particular project has entered into a second phase. We also know that Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, during his earlier visit to China, had an in-depth discussion on a wide range of issues, multiple areas of mutual cooperation and interest between Pakistan and China during his recent visit to China. Likewise, similar sort of reciprocation happening at this particular moment. Also, a number of MOUs, as I have already mentioned, have been signed between the two sides. What do they signify? And also, when we talk about the meeting of the Chief of Army Staff, General Syed Asim Munir, meeting with the Chinese Premier Li Qiang, how the defense cooperation between Pakistan and China over the years has evolved, how it had been, and what are the new avenues to be explored in that particular area. All these important matters up for discussion. For that, we are honored to have been joined by Dr.HassanDaud Butt on Skype. He is former project director and coordinator of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor projects. Dr. Butt, thank you very much for your time, for being with a part of this special live transmission here at PTV World. We are also honored to be joined by Dr. ShaziaAnwerCheema, expert international relations. Dr. Shazia, thank you very much for your time also for being with us. I guess she'll be joining us later in the show. Let's begin with you, Dr. HassanDaud Butt. This particular bilateral visit just ahead of the SCO mood that is going to happen on 15th and 16th. What significance this high-level engagement just before the SCO mood means for both Pakistan and China?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think for Pakistan in the past 1 decade, one of the most important and most significant visit is taking place today and perhaps tomorrow also. I think Pakistan in the past, say 10 years, we've seen almost 11 years actually, we have seen that Pakistan-China friendship is stronger than perhaps most of us understand, and perhaps it has a history which translates into not just strategic cooperation but economic partnership. And I think China-Pakistan economic corridor, the first phase and the second phase, both signify the importance of this visit. I think Premier Li Qiang and Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, the way that they shook hands at the airport, and the way that they're, the way that the whole visit is being conducted. And I was just outside in the city of Islamabad. I think the way that the flags were fluttering and the way that the whole city was jubilant upon the arrival of their all-weather friend, the premier, and of course during the speeches that were made during the ceremony, in which, for me, the most important project of Gwadar Airport being headed over to Pakistan, I think signifies the fact that this friendship is there to stay. It is an ironclad friendship, as they say in Chinese, Patye, and perhaps we can leverage this and can consider is the most important and most significant 1 week of bilateral and multilateral engagement that Pakistan has seen in the past 1 decade.
Right. What does that depict when we talk about the recent efforts when it comes to the incumbent government, as far as chalking out that very idea of having that relationship with the neighboring countries, as well as when we talk about at the multilateral level? Of course, this particular bilateral relationship between Pakistan and China, as you have already mentioned, has a history. It has stood the test of time. Lots of various aspects, and the kind of strength that we witness just by the engagements today that we saw happening between the top leadership of the two countries, and also when we saw Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif visiting China earlier in this particular year. So Pakistan's authorities, their policy on the foreign policy front, when it comes to expansion of relationship, and the relationship where it is already there, where it is already historic, where it is already established, the efforts and the endeavors to strengthen it further, and also equally participating on the multilateral fora. How do you look at that, sir?
Yeah, I think this is a great, significant diplomatic effort that the entire, I think the whole of government approach was taken for this. This has a history because of the fact that the Prime Minister visit was also significant. The engagement that he made there is his meeting with President Xi Jinping, and of course the Premier and some of the other government leaders, and then a series of visits that took place after the till to date, and including the Chinese experts visiting twice, talking about the economic integration, the socio-economic development part, and the joint working groups around the China-Pakistan economic corridor. I think for on the diplomacy front, Pakistan has actually demonstrated that this friendship means a lot to Pakistan, not just the government of Pakistan, but the people of Pakistan, and also its reflection on the economic agenda that both countries are following. We are not just interconnected because of our borders together, we are also interdependent. We want to foster this relationship, but we also want to highlight that this relationship is not at the cost of relationship with any other country. We want to become stronger economically, bilaterally, and also on the multilateral forum as SCO or any other forum that is going to take shape, including BRICS, which is also one of the significant agenda item for our foreign office as we speak. So I think this engagement and the outcome of these engagements would be taken very seriously and should be taken very seriously by all all elements. And I think the presence of the army chief at the reception also signifies the fact that Pakistan takes this, all pillars of Pakistan take this very seriously. And I think in the later part of the program, when we talk of CPEC, I would also like to highlight some of the achievements that have been made in the past 10 years, and also some of the work that we need to do in the following few years, that Pakistan will see this relationship developing further.
Of course. Of course, that's important area that will delve deeper into the major successes under the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor Phase 1 and how when we see this transformation happening from Phase 1A into the second phase. Doctor, but I'd like to grab this opportunity to understand earlier during the course of the transmissions throughout today, I came across a view regarding as to what the expertise the incumbent Chinese Premier Li Qiang, His Excellency, carries with himself as far as the pace, the progress and the dividends which are associated with this China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, how to ensure that the dividends are reached in a timely manner. When we talk about the persona, the personalities of the two leaders, on one side, Pakistan being represented by Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, whose agenda has always been development driven, progress and prosperity, whether he was Chief Minister of Punjab and now being the Prime Minister of the country. And also when we talk about Premier Li Qiang, what's your understanding? How bigger an impetus these personalities actually give to this particular China-Pakistan relationship and also to the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor?
Yeah, I think first speaking on the Chinese government and the agenda that the Chinese government through Premier Li Keqiang, whose primarily major role is on the economic front and looking at the challenges that China has. And China has several challenges, including the economic challenges, including the aging population challenges, and of course the demographic challenges.
I seek your pardon to interject over here. I'll come back to this particular point. I'll take your view. We are now honored to be joined by another participant, Ms. Shazia Mansab Ali, leader Pakistan Muslim League. And Ms. Shazia, thank you very much for your time, for being with us on this special live transmission regarding this very high-level significant visit of the Chinese Premier Li Qiang. Now, already I was discussing with Dr. Butt as to what sort of an impetus, when we talk about this bilateral relationship between Pakistan and China, the personalities of the two premiers of the two countries, China and Pakistan, give it, and how do you think these two leaders can actually ensure the timely completion of the projects under the umbrella of CPEC?
Thank you very much. As you know that Pakistan and China have a very long-standing strategic cooperative relationship, and China has stood by us at every corner. Whenever any other country has tried to undermine Pakistan on any international forum, China has stood by us. Actually, China has always been our friend, and China is now becoming an extremely important global power as well, as we all know. Even despite the fact that US is trying this China containment policy, it's not really working, and this power is shifting. Not only the power is shifting from the west to the east, but also the knowledge hub is now becoming China, as far as technical innovation is concerned, as far as roads and belts initiatives are concerned. And CPEC is an extremely important central piece of the Chinese Belt and Road Initiative. And this visit of the Chinese premiers is important in this context that we are going to have bilateral. They've come even before the SCO actually started. They've come now, which is a great honor for us. And we are going to, the Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and Premier Li Qiang is going to talk about all sorts of initiatives regarding CPEC, how CPEC is going to now go into its phase 2, even though there are some security concerns, but those will also be addressed during this meeting. And also how different initiatives will be taken as far as people-to-people movement is concerned, as far as movement of goods and services is concerned between China and Pakistan.
Of course, Ms. Shazia, you already mentioned there are various aspects to this particular relationship, time-tested friendship between Pakistan and China. Now, we have also seen during the course of today's engagements, there are a number of documents which have been exchanged between the two sides. Already we know for a fact that during Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif's visit to China earlier during this year, a number of MOUs in diverse fields were actually exchanged between the two sides. The signing of these MOUs, the agreements between the two sides, what does that basically signify? An ever-increasing strength and more vigor to this bilateral relationship?
You see, Firstly, China stood by us and invested in us when nobody else, no other country in the world was ready to invest in us in 2013-14 when BRI initiative was started in CPEC as the centerpiece of BRI. So this is a time-tested relationship. China has always helped us out in all sorts of ways. And now with all these signing of MOUs and further development, and especially because of regional connectivity and because of things like climate change, in which also China is taking the lead now in this region. Security concerns, China is taking the lead. Technically, scientifically, recently there was an article in The Economist which said that China was leading the world in science and technology, in IT. So all these things, we are going to collaborate with China. And China, the important thing about China is that China is never about hegemony in any region. China has never had hegemonic, design on this region. China's concern is with connectivity, with collaboration, with trying to help all other countries come to the point where China has itself come, China has alleviated a huge number of its population from poverty, which was below poverty line, and China has helped in that. China has developed a lot, and it's also helping Pakistan and other countries with which it collaborates to develop in the same way and to follow its example. So it's a very good example for us to follow.
Right, Ms. Shazia, when we talk about, you already mentioned in your take, the collaboration in information technology, we have seen a number of leaders talking about the kind of talent the youth in Pakistan have got in that particular field, the information and communication technologies. Now, when we talk about this collaboration between Pakistan and China, before heading towards that particular aspect, the initiatives Pakistani government have recently taken regarding the development of IT sector have really been commendable. Now, to have the dividend reaped in that particular regard, as far as the collaboration between Pakistan and China in the IT sector is concerned, how do you think, what are the avenues which lie in the future to be explored between the two?
I think that the SCO summit at this point that we are holding is actually opening up many avenues for Pakistan in all sorts of ways, politically, diplomatically, economically, culturally, and we will be able to explore all these avenues. We will be able to make sure that Pakistan is recognized as the important geopolitical and geoeconomic entity that it is, especially in new regional powers that are now coming to the fore. And as the world is changing from a unipolar world to a multipolar world, and as we are having this multilateral conference of which we are a host and we are very proud of it, we will be able to explore many avenues, and we will see that at this juncture, a great many initiatives will be taken in all these fields. And as you rightly mentioned, Pakistan has a huge young population who are very bright, who are very dynamic, who have just have to be given the opportunity to develop. So China, there are lots of students exchange between China and Pakistan. Lots of our students go to China and they learn a lot. And in the field of medicine, in all other fields, in the field of IT as well, as you rightly mentioned, Pakistan has already done a great deal. We've achieved a lot already, and we hope to achieve more with China's help, and as well as all other countries which are here and which we are hosting.
Ms. Shazia Mansab Ali, leader PMLN, thank you very much for taking time out for this special live transmission at PTV World. We really appreciate that. For now, we are honored to be joined by another participant on Skype, Dr. ShaziaAnwerCheema. Dr. Shazia, happens to be an expert in international relations. Dr. Shazia, thank you very much for taking time out for this particular special live transmission. As we speak, high-level engagements are happening between the top leadership of Pakistan and China as Premier Li Qiang is here. He happens to be the first Chinese premier to be visiting Pakistan in 11 years after Premier Li Keqiang back in 2013. We have a rich history of this particular relationship between Pakistan and China. Where do you see from here, this particular juncture, where do you foresee this relationship heading? Dr. Shazia, can you hear me, please? I think, unfortunately, we are not connected as yet with Dr. Shazia. We'll try to reconnect with her. And let me once again go back to Dr. Butt. Dr. Butt, when Ms. Shazra joined us, we were discussing as to what kind of an impetus both the leaders, Premier Li Qiang and Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, actually give to this particular bilateral relationship, and how this particular the development agenda of the two premiers will actually lead to the timely completion of the projects under CPEC.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful question. I think both these leaders have lots in common. If you look at the short history of Premier Li Qiang, I think his rise to fame was from Shanghai and the work that he did in Shanghai. And I think during his tenure as the administrative head of Shanghai, he transformed the entire city, and not just that city, but the whole region surrounding Shanghai. And again, later he was given important billets or opportunities within the Communist Party, and therefore he was chosen as the first-hand choice, because China is now looking at its economic growth agenda. And I was actually impressed by him when he spoke at the IMF summit and also at the World Economic Forum, where he said that that China would take on the opposing forces and the headwinds, and would develop for the next 2-3 years at the rate of 5% GDP growth. So I think that was significant, and many pundits were actually surprised that how China would, based on the headwinds that were there, how would China reach that point? But in the past 1 year, under his leadership, China has shown great economic resilience and has achieved the numbers. Similarly, for Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, his rise to fame was his administrative skills as the CM of Punjab, where he actually transformed the whole province, and then later given the choice and the chance of becoming the Prime Minister of Pakistan with an economic agenda, because Pakistan was also under a lot of stress, and also the recent agreement that we've done with IMF and China's role in supporting Pakistan for achieving that, I think, was significant. So both these leaders believe in economic development. Both these leaders believe in overall infrastructure growth. And when we say infrastructure, it means the hard infrastructure and also the soft infrastructure. And actually, both these leaders believe in open and debate, and actually delegation of duties, and therefore when they met today, I think the way that they engage with each other, that resonates great for Pakistan. And also China also needs Pakistan for its connectivity with the rest of the world. Pakistan has been a great support in the earlier days when China was connecting to the rest of the world. And I think today also, when China, through its Belt and Road Initiative, is looking at connecting with the world, Pakistan is providing that platform. We are the most promising corridor within all the other corridors within the Belt and Road Initiative. And also Pakistan will play a significant role as far as the Global Development Initiative of China is concerned, and also the Global Security Initiative. So I think Pakistan has a very, very important pillar role within the economic agenda of China. And also China has a very, very important role for us to understand and also to leverage from.
Right. Dr. Butt, as you already mentioned, that it's China that also needs Pakistan to connect with the rest of the world. Its vision of connectivity, also the Global Development Initiative and Global Security Initiative, a number of aspects related to both of these things also. I'll come back to you. But when you talk of China needing Pakistan when it comes to its vision of connectivity to the rest of the world, in that particular regard, it would be more pertinent to ask a question related to the potential that is associated with the Gwadar port. Now, when we talk about Gwadar port, of course, it gives a way, a conduit to China, to the warm waters, and further to Africa also. Could you shed a little bit of light in detail as to what are the potentials, what makes this particular port unique and different in this particular region?
Yeah, I think for China and whatever I'm going to say in next 1 or 2 minutes about Gwadar, I think it has a reflection from Belt and Road Initiative and the maritime aspect of it. Because China looks at the world, and of course, China today is the factory of the world. It exports more goods to any country other than perhaps one. And therefore, as the second largest economy in the world, China is looking at expanding its role as the contributor to the global economy. It's not just supporting Pakistan and the regional countries, but also many countries in Africa and Latin America. So in order to connect with them, they need connectivity, not just through land sources, but also through maritime sources. So I think for that, Gawada provides great opportunity. For me, and I've heard phrases like string of pearl earlier, which have actually outlived their life now. But I think China is looking at Gawada more for export and for business reasons rather than security reasons. Of course, we are living in an age where geoeconomics play important role than geopolitics. But also with that fact, also Gawada provides great connectivity for countries of Central Asia, and we've already signed one contract with one MOU with Tajikistan in terms of its connectivity. So, being part of SCO, being leader of SCO, China looks at Gwadar for its export and also supporting its regional countries from Central Asia. And with that, I think Gwadar has huge potential. But there is still a lot of work to be done by us. There's a whole master plan, Gawada City Development Master Plan, Gawada Port Master Plan, which is there till 2040, and therefore the whole of government approach has to be taken so that the true potential of Gawada is realized by Pakistan first, and of course China will benefit from it.
Right. Another important sector, we've already had lots of discussions regarding this particular sector. We've seen recent efforts and endeavors put in by the Pakistani authorities in it for the youth here in Pakistan. They've got the talent that has been talked about and acknowledged by the world leaders also, the information technology. Now, we also know that Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, during his visit to China recently, also had a visit to Shenzhen and Xi'an, right? So as far as the collaboration between China and Pakistan in the field of information technology, with the kind of strength or the number of heads or the human resource Pakistan has got, how Pakistan can actually capitalize in making its youth more skilled, who can actually contribute to the common or shared destiny of both China and Pakistan?
Yeah, I'll speak about the youth element later, but I think the visit of Prime Minister to Shenzhen and to Xi'an were important for many reasons. One of that was, of course, Shenzhen is the technology headquarter of the world. It houses the headquarter of Huawei. So therefore, going there, understanding Huawei is already investing in youth development programs in Pakistan through the IT sector. But also then we went to Xi'an, which is the starting point for the Belt and Road Initiative today and the old historic Silk Route. So therefore, in terms of connectivity, that visit was important. And also in terms of the soft skills that we need, the technology part, I think visit to Shenzhen was important. What was more more important for Shenzhen, for us to see from Shenzhen, is that Shenzhen in the past 30 years have actually developed from a fisherman town to the greatest metropolis as it is today. So I think for us, in terms of Gwadar also, and also for other cities that are being developed, I think Shenzhen was a great example, and Prime Minister took notes of ideas from Shenzhen. And I would also like to highlight that when we were working on the Gwadar master plan, Shenzhen was the base model on which we work, and the overall Gwadar development is around that. Now, coming to the youth part, I think Pakistan has great, and I remember Tim Marshall in his book has said that three endowments that a country can actually leverage are its geography, its connectivity, and its human resource. So for Pakistan, we have great human resource. We have about over 60% youth population, but it's also important that we uh, convert this youth into productive human resource. And for that to happen, I think in this time and age, the aspect of technology is very, very important. I think Pakistan in many ways lacks the vocational training capability and the kind of technology transfer that we need to do. And I remember one of the pillars of Belt and Road Initiative was not just the seamless connectivity, but also people to people connectivity. And in that, capacity building was one of the important aspect. And in the socio-economic, if you remember, uh, China signed a socio-economic agreement worth around 1 billion US dollar, in which vocational training and school development programs were one of the key initiatives. For us to develop this youth and convert them into productive element of our society is very important, because we need to grow in a fashion where China has grown. And I think in that, youth played, and for any country also, youth play a very, very important role unless they have the requisite skills which can transform this. Right now, we have a large size of population which speaks English. They have a good knack of and good understanding of technology. All we have to do is that build their crafts towards new technologies like robotics, like AI, blockchain, and provide them this knowledge and this technology transfer in a phased manner. You just can't transform them overnight. So it has to be incremental. And I think role of China and Chinese institution will be very, very important. I think we also need to, not just that China comes here and invests in development, we also need to learn from how China has developed. And I think the way that they have developed their private sector is extremely vital for us to understand.
That is exactly the point. I just want to go a little in detail regarding as to exactly what China did, that you already alluded to a fact that from a simple fisherman town, it became one of the largest metropolises in the world. Where did actually China start from, and what took China to have such a great transformation?
I think one of the major factors that China did was, of course, pragmatic leadership and then continuity of policy, support by the people, and willingness by the entire uh, government. And then, of course, delegation of duties. They let their districts and their provinces to grow economically on their own, build their own infrastructure for their development, and then support the national government in Beijing. So I think that was very critical, and I think for Pakistan also we need to understand that we need to develop ways and mechanism through which this can happen. And all this, and I remember Deng Xiaoping when he said crossing the river but touching stones. I think Pakistan also need to learn from the special economic zones model that China has, and Shenzhen was essentially a special economic zone, or now an economic zone, economic district. Pakistan also need to develop these nines, and I think discussion around those who happened earlier today between the two premiers and also within the planning ministers of both sides. And I think these special economic zones are extremely important, and I think government should put all their weight towards development of these.
Right, Dr. Butt, now there's been an exchange of documents, 13 accords between the two sides today. a number of MOUs during Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif's visit to China. Also, both the sides have agreed to expand the collaboration in security, education, agriculture, human resources development, and science and technology. The signing of these accords, the exchange of these documents, what does that basically signify, and where we go ahead from here onwards?
I think the first and the foremost thing that these signing of these MOUs do is to set the platform for CPEC phase 2. Because now we are talking about a phase where, not the conventional projects would be done, but some unconventional projects in science and technology, in research and development, and also in agriculture sector would be done. So I think that novelty would need a lot of hand holding by both sides. I think China and invest, especially in the business to business framework, they need to be supported by business chambers in Pakistan. And of course, we need to have that enabling environment, that pull factor where more businesses need to come. On Chinese part, I think the Chinese government need to push their businesses to move towards China. Look at our large market. We are at about 242 million points. Great opportunity for China to invest.
I seek your pardon for the interjection over here. I'll come back to you. Please stay with us. So we are now honored to have been joined by Ms. Seher Kamran, member of National Assembly from Pakistan People's Party. Ms. Seher, thank you very much for your time, for being with us on this special live transmission. High-level engagements happening today as Chinese Premier Li Qiang is here in Pakistan on a 4-day official visit, warmly welcomed by the top leadership here in Pakistan. How are you looking at this particular significant visit, and what sort of an impetus it's going to give to the overall trajectory of the Pakistan-China relationship?
I believe it's a very important moment for Pakistan, not only to host the Chinese premier, but also the other head of the government from the SCO member states. And it provides Pakistan an opportunity to strengthen its bilateral ties and play its important role at Shanghai Cooperation Organization and economic collaboration, which is an important pillar of this organization. It's important for Pakistan to have this opportunity to renew economic engagement and develop, better ties with the member states of Shanghai Cooperation Organization.
Right, Ms. Seher, when we talk about the manifestation of the strength of this particular bilateral relationship, there are a number of avenues in which this particular relationship is being historic, it's been strengthening with every single passing day. How do you look at Pakistan and China entering into the second phase of the China-Pakistan economic corridor? There have been multiple successes under the China-Pakistan economic corridor phase 1, particularly including the energy sector, in infrastructure, as well as road networks.
With Pakistan and China, it's an unprecedented friendship. From it's not which is developed today. But China has been standing with Pakistan at every time and always. I remember my childhood days when Shahid Zulfikar Ali Bhutto was the Prime Minister, and we were welcoming the Chinese premier, and it was such a historic time. And that display of love and that display of cordial relationship. And then, the energy projects that we have, our nuclear power plants, how those are supported by China. Then JF-17 Thunder is, one of the, icon of our friendship. Then China-Pakistan economic corridor, motorways, energy projects, and a lot more to offer now with this phase 2, where we would be, developing our relations in other sectors as well, education, then I would say agriculture, then industrialization. I think you name it, and Pakistan and China are together, from defense, security, to economic development, to the corridors, to connectivity, to the power sector, I would say that Pakistan and China relations innovate every day. And they are strengthened by every passing day. If we say we are iron brothers, so I would say this is a very small terminology. It is more than that. Despite all challenges, despite all pressures, despite every difficult situation, we stand together. And that means a lot, not only for the two countries, but for the people of the two countries. We look towards each other, and now exactly the way people of the two countries are benefiting from these projects, that means a lot because people-to-people relations are strengthening. So if China is no longer a different country or alien for us, it has very much become a part and parcel of Pakistan.
Right, Ms. Seher, when we talk about today's understanding between the two sides have agreed to enhance the collaboration in a number of sectors, including security, education, agriculture, human resources development, science and technology. When specifically we talk about education sector, what are the examples that Pakistan needs to learn from China?
China has today technology. China is today an emerging economic power. China is today an economic giant, I would say. And the technology, we have our students, they go there. I have met like so many PhDs, and they are mostly from China. So they find it very easy and very competitive to go there and to have their education there. Especially, the China's progress in technology and artificial intelligence and development is such an example for us. When our students, they go there and they learn these techniques, especially in vocational training, in developing their skills, in agriculture, because I'm talking more about agriculture, like being an agriculturist, I know that how much I count on, the new varieties, seeds, the new technologies, their equipment, everything. It means a lot to us. We learn from them every day, and that will also bring innovation to Pakistan because we have rich agricultural land, but what we lack is the technology and innovation. So that is very important for us, that Pakistan should take a maximum benefit from China. Similarly, students who are going there and they are coming with the higher degrees, they come equipped with knowledge, they come equipped with technical expertise, and then of our country. So, and then they can, especially in these joint collaborations, the projects that we are building jointly, they have a lot of opportunities to find an employment there and to serve there.
Right, Ms. Seher, you already talked of people-to-people contact. So what areas or avenues could be explored in order to enhance the people-to-people contacts, and how much consolidation people-to-people contacts give to any bilateral relationship between the two countries?
You see, it means a lot because, that develops trust, that develops, confidence between the two countries to develop their relations. Now, people of China, we see them and we feel that they are very much part of us. So you name it, education, culture, tourism, any industrialization, vocational training, anything that exactly you name it, we are collaborating in that field. So even like exactly I see that Pakistan-China Friendship Center is another icon of our friendship. When we go there, we get an opportunity to hold our functions there. It reminds us that it's such a beautiful gift. Many culture programs are held there. Then I've seen that China Media Group is very active there, and they speak such beautiful Urdu and many students who are going there and they are learning Chinese and coming back to Pakistan, they stand as our real strength, that when our projects will further develop, they will go further. And when these economic zones, especially special economic zones, those will be in their full swing, then these people will be an asset to Pakistan and China both.
Right, Ms. Seher, one of the goals of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization is to ensure jointly peace and maintain security and stability in the region. To reap the fruits of this connectivity, the integration within the region, the economic cooperation within the region, especially under the framework of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. We know since the takeover by the Taliban back in 2021 in Afghanistan, there has been some sort of an issue regarding as to the security, because the safe havens over there of the militant organizations within Afghanistan pose a threat to all the neighboring countries. Concerns by both Pakistan and China have repeatedly been conveyed to the de facto authorities in Afghanistan. how do you think the Afghanistan issue, the ensuring peace and stability over there, could be approached? What sort of approach is required in that regard?
You see, there are three evils that we are fighting together are extremism, terrorism, and separatism. And then there's an anti-terrorism structure within SCO. We have to seek benefits from this, and I believe, with this regional cooperation, with our collaboration, we could overcome, the security concerns, specifically those emanating from Afghanistan. It is like, we have to, Pakistan has a legitimate concern that Afghanistan should not be used for any kind of terrorism in our country. So I believe this Shanghai Cooperation Organization is also one of the great opportunity that we address our security concerns also, particularly those emanating from Afghanistan. So Pakistan has been the forefront of war against terrorism. We have so many sacrifices, and I believe peace and security is a major concern for China, for Russia, and for the other Central Asian states. So this could be one of the great opportunities that we come to a consensus and to develop a firm position on this, that we protect the sovereignty, we protect the security of each other, and we promote regionalism. So this is one of the good opportunity. While I'm talking to you, I would also like to speak about the suggestion which I have been giving, and I would like to see this one day realizing that, like European Union, Shanghai Cooperation Organization should also agree to one common currency. It will help in promoting trade. It will address many issues of currency conversion, or pressure of of dollar, or otherwise. I would say it would also help us to strengthen our economic ties, and it will make many transactions. It will make transactions very easy.
Ms. Seher Kamran, member of the National Assembly from Pakistan People's Party, thank you very much for taking time out for this special live transmission at PTV World. We really appreciate that. Dr. Butt, now we were already discussing the point already. Please go ahead, resume the discussion from there.
Yeah, I think, but also following to what your previous speaker was stating, I think one of the MOUs that has been signed is about currency swap also. And I think this is a significant event, MOU and a document that is being signed this time. I think we have this special economic zone, and I think the Gawada free zones, where we can actually apply this currency swap agreement and perhaps look at more opportunities of doing business with China in their own local currency. And perhaps in Pakistan, the Chinese companies can use Pakistani rupees, and likewise when we are doing transaction with the Chinese, we've already done this in our recent procurement of fuel from Russia. I think during all these MOUs that have been signed and all the agreements that have been signed, for me, the standout remains the handing over of Gwadar Airport. And now I think the Civil Aviation Authority has to be very careful, very pragmatic in order to run that. Because if we run that and build a better narrative around, not just around business and commerce, more also around tourism. One of the aspects that you highlighted regarding people-to-people connectivity, I think Pakistan also need to showcase its culture, its language, and perhaps art, because Pakistan has great art and also our dramas which are showcased on our television. And one of the MOUs again here was about television network and exchange of material between the two television authorities. And I think in that case, Pakistan can showcase its culture. We should do more road shows in China so that people understand how Pakistan and Pakistanis think about China, and also likewise, I think overall how Chinese should look at Pakistan in terms of this Iron Brotherhood. This capacity building and this private sector is vital because Pakistan is now creating an opportunity for Chinese technology industries and enterprises to come to Pakistan and invest, not just in hardcore hardware and software technologies, but also in e-commerce. And when they come here, I think their understanding of the West is not as much, although they're doing great work with I think most part of the world. I think for Middle East, Pakistan still provide them this opportunity to understand the Islamic world. Uh, China has used that, Pakistan, and I think by doing business with Pakistan, they can actually benefit from entering the Middle East market. What Pakistan should do lastly, and I think this is in terms of CPEC, I think Pakistan and China should together create opportunities for third party participation in China Pakistan economic corridor, perhaps in the petrochemical industry, also in textile or some of the other manufacturing industry, attract enterprises from, and this is because of the fact that recently we had Saudis visiting Pakistan and several MOUs were signed there. And I think if we can have a third party participation coming from Saudi Arabia, I think this grand uh, Belt and Road Initiative would even get better. And I think Pakistan can
A
really,
point
really
very well
benefit
made.
from
A
this.
point very well made. Dr. Butt, one last point, very significant point. We saw an engagement between Chief of Army Staff, General Syed Asim Munir, and also Premier Li Qiang. Now, specifically talking about the defense production, the collaboration between China and Pakistan, how is it had been, and what potential does it carry with itself when it comes to exporting the defense products?
I think we should give credit to the military leadership when they transform. Earlier, about a decade back, most of our products and equipment used to come from the West. Then later we transformed and perhaps looked at China as one of the, and now at this time we're not just having tanks, but we're also building frigates along with joint ventures between Pakistan and China defense developers. Also, we're building JF-17 Thunder. We're also looking at capacity. Importantly, sometimes we tend to forget the joint venture and collaboration that is happening on the space front. I think recently Pakistan was able to benefit from Chinese exploration, space exploration, and the work that China is doing. And if we can further connect, build on
which
from
needs to
this
be
defense
explored
technology.
further. That is an avenue indeed that needs to be explored further. Unfortunately, we are short of time. I'll have to end this special live transmission at this particular moment. This part of special live transmission regarding this significant visit right here. Dr. HassanDaud Butt, former project director, coordinator, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor projects. Thank you very much for taking time out for this special live transmission at PTV World. With that, we come to the end of this part of the special live transmission. This will, of course, continue, and we're all looking, anticipating the major outcomes. What's going to actually transpire of this high-level visit Chinese Premier Li Qiang is undertaking here in Pakistan. And of course, tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, these 2 days are going to be of utmost importance, because the 23rd meeting of the Council of the Heads of the Government of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, all is set for that. On that note, it's goodbye for now.